Good afternoon, everyone. We are just about to kick off the spotlight on Kuwait Solar Market. We will be waiting for a couple of minutes to allow everyone to log in. Yes, please hold on. Good afternoon, everyone. We are very pleased to welcome you today on this webinar, Spotlight on Kuwait Solar Market. While there are still a lot of people logging in at the moment, I think it would be a good time for us to start, so we actually get a chance to go through every question here. So first of all, let me introduce you to our speakers today. I'm just trying to, there's still a lot of people joining now. So I will start with our moderator, Mr. Abaitid, who will then be joined with Dr. Qasim, who's the CEO of Alternative Energy Projects, Mr. Ghanem Al-Amji from the Ministry of Electricity, Water and Renewable Energy, Mr. Bino Thomas, Manager of Power Solution Division, GPS, and finally, and actually the speaker who will be opening this session is Anne Yangzi, who is the GCC manager of SunGrow, who is also our sponsor today. And it will start with a very quick presentation before we kick off this, what we believe will be a very interesting panel discussion, giving you insights on the solar market. And I will pass on the hand to you. Anne, are you here? Hello.
Sorry, I just mute myself.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to joining us today. Let me just introduce myself. I'm Anna, taking care of solar Kuwait market as a country manager. Thank you. I will start my presentation now. Okay, give me 1 minute. Hold on, please. Sorry.
Anne?
Yeah, sorry, something just happened with me. Just give me 1 minute. Sorry.
Would you like us to share the presentation on our side? Mala can do this for us.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay, great.
Okay, now I will start to introduce our company, Sangro Power. We established our company since 1997 until this year. So we have run through 26 years. This is our company as mission, vision, and value. So we are mission to clean the clean power for all, with the mission to be the global leader of clean energy conversation technology, with the value of honest and reliable something. Our global presence is that we have three main manufacturers in the world. The main one is in China, and the one is in Thailand, and the other one is in India. We have 6 R&D centers all over the world. One is in Hefei and Shanghai, Nanjing, Shenzhen, Munich, and Delft. We also run the business through 150 more countries. Here is our business layout. So our main business is the PV inverter energy storage system with the hydrogen. So I will introduce more hydrogen in my later pages. Here you can see that we have reached the business performance for last year, which is around 400 billion RMB. And with the global delivers over 77 gigawatts. Here is our main PV inverter sector. So we have 1+X modular inverter with the string inverter, and also we can cover all the scenarios PV inverters. For this year, for 2020, so we delivered global PV inverter over 130 gigawatts. So we have reached the #1 global inverter company shipments. Also, the main sector is the second main sector is the energy storage system. We can cover from utility scale and to commercial scenario, and also residential BSS. For the ESS global shipment in 2022, that we have finished 7.7 gigawatt hour. Also, we reached the #1 global ESS shipments. Here is our smart operation and the maintenance center. So we care about our service and operation management. Also, we have EV charger. This is our new business line. Also, we have hydrogen technology. So we established our hydrogen company since 2020. So until now, we have a couple of projects in China, which is very big. One-stop zero carbon solution is one of our business scope as well. Also, we have the robotic PV cleaning. This is our new business sector. So we care about our R&D innovation. Until now, we have invested over 1,700 million RMB into our R&D investment. We will continuously to invest to our R&D center. So regarding this R&D center, we already reached the more than 2,000 masters in our R&D center. So we will have stably improve our R&D capabilities. This is, you can see, this is our manufacturing. So we are a flexible manufacturing, but in our digital factory. So we provide our reliable qualities. Also, we really care about our quality excellence. So we provide a quality management system. We provide the product lifecycle management as well. Also, one of the important components of our business that we care about our customer service. We have more than 90% of service outlets worldwide. Until now, we have finished 405 gigawatt service after sales service. This is our digitalized operation platform. So you can use this to monitor the data of the plant. Again, this is our business map. So since 1997 until this year, we already achieved a big achievement. We are aiming to achieve 150 billion RMB to 2027. So again, thank you guys to joining us today. This is my presentation. Hind, you are mute yourself.
This is the problem when you try to mute to avoid, coming noise, and then you need to get back online. So hello again, everyone. I know I've missed a couple of people. We've had a lot more people join in since, just about 10 minutes ago. So thank you to everyone else who's joined in now. I will pass on the hand to our moderator today, Mr. Abai Ji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hinde. Good afternoon, good morning to everyone on the call, depending on which part of the world you are in. We're looking forward to a really interesting panel discussion. We don't want to make this one way, and the intent is to have a very fruitful, encouraging discussion amongst all the very, very senior industry veterans that we have across the table today. And without much further ado, let me quickly jump into and push forward the first question to Dr. Qasim. Dr. Qasim, you're based in Kuwait, and it would be really helpful to give us a context about how you view the local Kuwaiti market in terms of solar energy, where it stands today, so the current state assessment, as well as where you think you would want to see it 5 years down the line. Dr. Qasim, over to you.
Thank you very much. The Kuwaiti market, just to elaborate, even though we are based in Kuwaiti market, we are stationed over more than 3 countries in the region here. So we've been to the MENA market for the last 7 years. Now, if we just gonna elaborate on the Kuwaiti market as we speak have a total capacity of renewable installed in closer to 100 megawatts, and that's been scattered between the Shigaya project, which is 70 megawatt, and a few other scattered projects between KMPC, governmental projects, residentials, and others. So not much have been done in the last couple of years. Nevertheless, the commitment from the government to move ahead with it is serious. The government also has released a mandate a couple of years ago about 10% of all governmental building has to adapt renewables, specifically solar, which triggered a series of requirement for projects to be for solar and other energy efficiency, energy conservation approaches to be adopted in the buildings. This led to actually having few ministries adapting solar to be part of their new building envelopes, which triggered more into the government-related projects. So we have a few megawatts here and there being adapted and being released as tenders. MEW is leading on this, which Mr. Ghannam, I think, will elaborate later on it now. And now this is where we are from the perspective of what we do have ready. Kuwait, as of now, as a policymaker, we don't have any ready available policies, even though I know there's more coming online to adapt that. I think MEW and others will elaborate more on this. But as of now, there's no clear schemes of net metering or wheeling or direct PPA being announced as of yet into this matter. Nevertheless, from the perspective of demand, there's a huge demand needed. There's a very high forecast estimated in the curve load demand for the country in the next 5 years. And the load is expected to grow by easily more than 6 to 7% annually, which is higher than the typical growth curve for the load demand. And this is highly related to the increase in urban developments in the country itself. there's a plenty more, few new cities that are coming online in the next couple of years, and there's the country's strategy to grow that. So, and then also you have the commitment from the government to the national commitment of 15% by 2030, and which still has to have more of projects coming online. We are talking about 4.5 gigawatt coming online from utility, and we are foreseeing no less than 500 to 1 gigawatt of distributed solar that should come in the next couple of years as a consequence of the market being enabled. Which is, I think, a key point that will be discussed further as we're going to speak ahead. We're going to discuss this further, but this is where we are now. Where I see the market in the next 5 years, if all the enabling elements have been triggered properly on time, then I see ourselves, or we see ourselves at least on 6 gigawatt to 5 gigawatt market size by then.
Wonderful, Dr. Qasim. That's a wonderful overview of current state and future state assessment. And a couple of times you alluded to MEWRE. So let me jump across the table to Ghanem from the Ministry of Electricity, Water and Renewable Energy. Ghanem, do you think that Dr. Qasim's views or the industry's views are aligned with the ministry's planning and initiatives?
Yeah, hi. First of all, let me thank you guys for doing this kind of program webinar, because it's really helpful to the private sector and the government, sharing all informations, what's the visions, what's the opportunities for private sector and developers. So let's starting with the government, as Dr. Qasim said, around about the 10% or 15% that's vision of MEW or government in Kuwait to reach in 2030. There is a strategic plan that's explained how we can achieve this huge of power will be renewable. First of all, we started with the regulations. As you know, the PPP law in Kuwait, 116 over 2016 to 2014. You can just Google it; you will find it with the English language. That's it's helpful for the private sectors to know more about the regulations and the rules in Kuwait. This is for IPP projects. Other than that, the 200 megawatt, as Dr. said, yes, we have today the 400 or let's say 200 megawatts, all EPC projects. We have planned for, or we have adopted actually with the KSAP, which is the government sector, around 150 houses. We adopt a solar panels on their rooftop, that we can organize the power flow of stability the grids. The government in Kuwait really wants to achieve more than 15%, honestly, for future, because now we are thinking around what's the next for 2040, 2050. Since the Paris Agreement, the government signed that we need to reduce the emissions, and COP 27 and COP will be 28. Also, the footprint and the energy sectors, we will raise it up to reduce the CO2 emissions. So if you ask me what is the strategic plan, the strategic plan is there. The opportunity is there for private sectors, for anyone to want to open their industry, manufacture his company here in Kuwait or overseas companies. MEW now are ruling the projects that will be large scale and also mid scale and small scale. When we say small scale, we're talking about rooftop, something 200 mega, 2 mega, 5 mega and below. Mid scale, we're talking about 10, 20, up to 100, 100, 150. We have the Abdullah project. We have future projects. Now we are also did the TOR for the APC stuff, and also that for the PPP, we'll talk about it later. So the vision is there, the opportunity is there. The government now, we open a department in Ministry of Electrical and Water and Renewable. We changed the name. It was like just MEW. We add RE because, you know, government was thinking to open like special organizations to handle the renewable energy stuff. But today, now we have the department just established 3 months ago. And our director in this department, Engineer Ahmed Al-Dosari. So the government in Kuwait goes serious. I hope I have been explaining all the comment. Yeah.
No, absolutely, Gautam. That's wonderful. So just to paraphrase, I think Kuwait is opening up floodgates at all levels, utility scale projects, distributed solar, mid-sized projects. Wonderful. One of the really interesting things that you mentioned is this is going to open up a lot of opportunities for the manufacturing sector. And every company likes to have a high level of in-country value. So from a manufacturing and an in-country value point of view, I want to go across the table to Thomas. Thomas, as a developer or a manufacturer within the state of Kuwait, what does all this sound to you in terms of opportunities and the future?
Greetings all the dignitaries present in this webinar, and thank you for inviting us to this event and giving the opportunity to present something. Actually, in Kuwait, there is for the panels, converters, inverters, and even the batteries also to be imported. There is no any manufacturing facility in Kuwait so far. But there is supporting documents like steel structures and cables and much manpower. We can provide it. And for the engineering and design and the fabrication also can provide. But for the main components should be from outsourcing from import should be.
So that's a good insight. And with that, when you talk about a lot of key components like the inverters coming from out of the state of Kuwait, let me go across the table to Anne. Anne, as a global player and as one of the largest players on the inverter side of the business, how do you view Kuwait vis-a-vis the global market in terms of technologies, in terms of does it need to be customized for Kuwait, or are the globally accepted, regionally accepted equipment going to be a good fit for Kuwait also?
Okay. So I think for the Kuwait market, I think the innovation in solar energy generation and storage is a necessary sector. We, Sangro, is the first one to introduce the modular inverter concept with the modular level component design, the technology into this market in the year 2021. So we call it 1+X modular, which we can help to reduce the plant overall OPEX and to improve the ability of the projects. With that, I think that means that we can, with the improvement on the power generation with the lower LCOE. So I think that is the reason that why we Sangro, we won the utility projects in the Middle East region. So for example, like we signed the NEOM project, which is 2.3 giga, and in Saudi PIF2 project, which is 2 giga, and as well as the other projects that we had won in the Middle East. And also in the same year, that instead of the traditional air cooling technology that we have implemented the liquid cooling BESS solution power, which we call the Titan G1 series. So that can help to reduce the 40% of the auxiliary consumption and to improve the RTE of the BESS system and the lower footprint area, and also the system BOS. So this can help us to win most of the projects in the Middle East. Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. So if I have to have a takeaway from that, it means the equipment is ready, the players are ready, and now Ghanem alluded a little bit to the utility scale project. So Ghanem, if I could come back to you and ask you to shed a little more information, a little more light on the Shagaya project, one of the biggest utility projects on the pipeline.
Yeah, let me just go back to, or let me just go back to Shigaya project. You know, phase one, I guess everybody know Shigaya project phase one, which is that has been established with the Kesar 2016 was in the grid. It's a 50 megawatt CSP and 10 megawatt wind, and the other 10 it's a BV with the two models of BV, which is the thin 5 megawatt thin, and the other 5 it's polycrystalline. So we collecting all these data, then we sign in last year with the technical advisor. You know, it will be IPP, it will be IPP methods. It will be with the developers. So we signed for the rest of land, which is around 87 kilometers square. What's the best mix technologies with the stable grids, lowest cost of levelized cost of electricity, as my colleague said. We end up with the DMV to have the best mix, which is, you know, we did like a lot of feasibility study and technical study for stability of the grids, and we use the Plexel program. We run the model around 400 scenarios. We end up with 42. Then we see what is the feasible with all the costs, emissions, environment impact, everything. Then we end up with the 10, actually, one to two scenarios. Then we go to the higher committee in Kuwait to decide it. What is the best mix technologies that can happen? We end up with the one scenarios that I will explain. It will be phase one, and Shigaya produce around 1,100 megawatt AC, fully PV with the Syncon. And phase two will be CSP, 200 megawatt CSP, around 5 hours storage capacities. And phase three will be 1,500 megawatt AC, fully PV as well. And the last phase will be 1,700 megawatt AC. So we're talking about 4 developers. We already did the punch market and GCC, as my colleague said. We know the punch market. We know what's the levelized. We can get, I guess, very good levelized cost of electricity. Some of the questions that I already raised, that the CSP it's there or not. Yes, CSP it's there because we have very good solar field in Kuwait. The radiations, it's hitting very good radiations. Why wind turbine not there? We got actually very good efficiency for the wind turbine, but you know, by seeing the graph of the grid philosophy, that's our peak. It's in the peak time around 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. So the wind turbine that time, it wasn't that efficient like nights. So we decided just to go for the Shigaya, whole Shigaya, with this kind of technology, very strong grids. We have the CCDT. We hit actually the peak demand this year, 16,800 megawatts. So this is the big demand. We did actually very good study, and now we are doing the RFQ for the phase one. Will be in the market, I guess, after 2 months. I hope that, or 3 months maximum. So the RFQ, it's there. We already started doing the RFP for phase one. RFQ, we already decided, and we like get all the factors that companies can be or developers can be
Right. So I've I've lost Ghanim on that. Indy, can you still hear him?
I cannot hear him either. He's frozen
Okay.
at the moment.
Great. Yeah, Ghanim, you're
Yeah,
back.
I'm sorry.
No, that's
So
fine.
I guess
Technology.
very much now I explained everything that's regarding the Shigaya. So
Right. No, wonderful. That's a good overview. It looks like the project is ripe to go to market very, very soon. And that's a place where I'm going to ask for Dr. Qasim's views. Dr. Qasim, how do you see the local Kuwaiti market in terms of financiers, banks, equity holders, EPC, O&M, developers, suppliers? How excited are they about this project, and what kind of interest would this type of project incite for local market?
Thank you. Well, the market itself had a precedence for a PPP project. My guess is that the project will be released as the PPP model, or that's my understanding. So it will be it's be led by MEW and released through Kuwait Public Authority for Partnership, which means that government will have shares and public will have shares as well in the project. Now, looking at this model, precedents have been there. We have North Azure conventional power plant, which being financed, which has been financed by a consortium between local and international entities. Now, having that doesn't change the fact that Kuwait in general are not have been exposed to many long-term infrastructure project based on the IPP or the POT model, which in general require quite a lot of stringent requirement that usually are reflected by the owner themselves. We always expect the owner to provide some kind of assurance. Now, Kuwait, on the other hand, has a high credit rating. We are AA minus. Rated country, so that's by itself usually gives a very good. That usually gives a very good, assurance for the banks in general. But nevertheless, the conditions usually tend to be stringent. So it will be really subject to what the RFP will provide for the banks. Now, banks here are conventional. They're very conventional. They are not very much exposed to project financing. Having said that, they will always struggle to having door-to-door financing tenor, for example. We are governed by the central bank with respect to local currency. So we have our internal rating regulation for the interest, which is called KIBOR. With respect to that. So again, local banks have eagerness to come in to these projects, subject to the projects meeting the minimum requirement and not the other way, unfortunately. And this is because, again, that the market is still new to this segment. Banks don't have as much exposure as, I would say, our neighboring countries, which have very high exposure to such projects. And that's where the difference are. So what we are expecting on this phase, it will be mostly consortium between local and international financiers that will have to come in for supplying this project. Now, from the perspective of EPCs, operation service providers, there are no specialized EPCs that covers this the minimum technical requirement needed for the mega projects. For the CNI, small projects, yes, there are a few here in the regions, and I know few are also, few smaller, medium-sized EPCs are coming in, providing their services locally. But for the larger utility scale, we have none. So there will be huge dependency on international EPC provider. Which means that it will be outsourced. Same thing with the O&M. So it depends on the capacity. The market is really a virgin market. Kuwait market is a virgin market here, so we don't have all that capability available around for either large-scale EPC, large-scale O&M, and the finance has to be done through mostly international consortia, international local slash.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's helpful. You've covered all the different spheres of the project development and all the key stakeholders. And something very interesting you alluded to, which was that the local market is at nascent stages. And if I could go to Thomas. Thomas, for yourself as a local market supplier and a stakeholder, and as you alluded to, a lot of these are new technologies, so the capability within the country is limited. With this in mind, do you think the local players would be very keen to get a slice of the pie, if not be the main EPC contractor, but team up with international contractors? And also, do you think, given precedent of nascent markets in the region, would the local market expect some kind of incentive or support program from the government?
Yes, the government initiatives some programs like this NREP, this is a National Renewable Energy Program. This is a comprehensive initiative aimed at developing renewable energy sources. The objectives: diversity of energy mix, reduce carbon emissions, and enhance energy utility, and create green jobs and faster technological innovation. And also there is a role of government in the promoting solar adoption. Government need to provide some financial incentives such as rebates and grants to implement for the solar systems. And also they educate the public on solar energy's advantage, including how it may lower power costs and improve energy security. And provide regulations or certification programs for the engineers and installs involved in solar energy sectors and improve quality and standard at installation also. And there is some feed-in tariffs also. Kuwait is planning, is moving towards implementing fixed rates for purchasing energy from renewable energy sources. And planning to produce 10% of the electric energy consumption in ministry buildings and come from the renewable sources also. That means we are getting, but that is not much enough. More is awaiting from the entities.
Absolutely. So I like the way you summed it up. It's there, but we are keen to get more.
Yes.
So, absolutely. A couple of points you touched upon is the cost competitiveness and how the levelized cost of electricity gets impacted, and how renewables would be something that leads to lower cost for the grid at a grid level. And this is where I want to touch upon this point with Anne. And you've got experience in the international market, in the regional GCC market, plus the international market. In a nascent industry like this, for a developed country like Kuwait, do you think the incentives are going to lead to increase in levelized cost? Or will developing the local market eventually make renewables a more cost competitive sector for the country?
Well, for this question, so I would like to say the importance of the technology to enhance the efficiency and cost effectiveness. So the invention of the liquid cooling technology has already changed the concept of traditional design. And as we, Sangro, we always look at a continuously improvement in the technology part. And therefore, so first time that we implement the string PCS concept to the energy storage system that called Power Titan G2 series. And this PCS will be a part of the battery containers, and some will help us to improve the RTE value to 2%. So as the compared to our G1 series. So I think this is the importance. Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. But if I summarize that Kuwait is coming to the party a little late compared to the neighboring countries and the GCC from a renewable industry point of view. But it may just be a good thing where they will get the better set of technology for their very first project. The technological advancements is something that would really benefit them right from the first project that they go live with. So, and is that a fair statement to make? And you're still on mute just in case you're speaking. Seemed like Anne didn't like my question. But let me flip over to Dr. Qasim. Dr. Qasim, in the conversation, there have been multiple discussions about Kuwait coming to the party a little late compared to neighboring countries, GCC globally. There's always a benefit of not being the first mover. And one of the benefits is learning from the other projects and other regional precedents that you have. So if you had to look at the regional precedent and also globally, what do you think are the top 3-4 elements that Kuwait can leverage on in terms of best practices or learnings from precedent projects?
Thank you again. I think this is a quite tricky question. The reason is now there is no right and wrong in others doing certain processes. A decision made at a specific time will always be right and making that decision at that time. Now, shifting over time, will you redo it? Will you change it? You may change it, but going back to the time when you made the decision, you may, prompt to do the same thing again. Now, having said that, from ourselves being a developer ourselves, I would always look into the different models that have been adapted by the different regions. And I would say the shared public or government cross-partnership shared model was always successful. And it always introduced a very clear mechanism between the private sector and the government itself. It reduced the burden, the capital requirement burden for the company itself. So I mean, looking at the different models available in that UAE DIWA model specifically recently adopted by Abu Dhabi as well. Also, Oman model have been adapting. They adopted this model a long time ago in a different approach, where one of them actually allow floating of the shares to the public stock market at a certain time, while the others request an immediate share split between government and that. Now, this model is actually proved to be quite useful and supportive, especially when you talk about the gigascale projects. And it does provide a lot of assurance, even for the financiers, as government is willing to be a stakeholder into the whole thing. This is an important part in all the projects that we've seen. Also, being too strict and too conventional, plus going quite FedEx-based on the RFP may not always yield, from my experience, the same result that you expect to do, especially if you are going with the IPP model. Having said that, what I meant is that if you go for large projects, from all the experience we had, when you end up, especially in the new region, when you end up leaving things or trying to quality control, tighten things in all edges, on that perspective, you lose the creativity element that the developer and the consortium can bring in to enhance and provide a lower element into the tariff. I mean, at the end, the reflection that you will get is a cheaper tariff, as well as a reliable long-term asset that will last the period it should last. So, seeing the market, seeing the innovative technology that the market is coming up with, being very strict in adaptation of technology or changing or providing proposal, technically or financially, from perspective of financial engineering, will always provide limitation into that. So always being moderate into the restrictions is a tricky challenge where you have to balance it. So these 2 points are quite important. Also encouraging, now there's a lot, the last element, which I see it's quite important, that others have not been really willing to push on it so much, which is the adaptation requirement of the local content restriction. Now, local content has varied from all different regions, and when I see it from a country perspective, the requirement for renewable energy is not only to satisfy the energy demand, but also to enable a new market in the region itself, in the country itself. And when you enable a market, you have to enable with it the local industry rather than just only the international industry. And therefore, it's important to enable a proper local content policies in that, which in general, as a developers, they are not mostly keen on that because it will put a lot of restriction on the import-export utilization. But nevertheless, from the perspective of having a benefit to enable the market there, having local, supporting local manufacturing, providing a local industry, providing local jobs, it all reflects back on the local content requirement and how it's being framed in these projects. So these are my 3 points that I would say are important to adapt, which has varied from each region, from each country to another. Thank you.
Wonderful. I love your statement that the efficacy of a decision has to be seen in the point in time when the decision was taken. Absolutely agree with that. So to sum it up, the 2 points that you've highlighted is A, the fine balance between being prescriptive and standardizing the RFP process versus providing the flexibility to the developer to provide the best value to the state. And also going back and looking at the fine balance of using the project as a starting point for developing a sector through in-value creation versus ensuring that it doesn't become overbearing for the project to handle the burden of an entire sector at a project level. With this, I want to go over to Ghanem as the last question. Ghanem, this conversation has been good for me, and I'm guessing it's the same that you'll hear from everybody, that it gives you a reflection of what the industry is looking at. So on one side, you've got views of the industry. On the other side, you've got an extremely well-developed, almost ripe project to go to the market. So I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you that after this conversation, what are the key elements that you think you want to take back into the ministry for your internal deliberation and say, guys, we've got a very good project ready to go to market, but a couple of things that the industry has told us, let's revisit these items. What would those be, Ghanem?
Honestly, regarding the battery technologies, we will rethink about the battery technologies for the islands. What's the opportunities for the like say, let me say, microgrids? If it's possible to do it in the Pobian Island or in Felika Island, because government, they are thinking to develop this those islands, how we can connect their grid. But we need to restudy the humidity over there, the sanalities, erosion, corrosion, how we can the batteries survive over there, if it's micro or not, or maybe it will be connected. But this is one of the lessons. Then I will rethinking about it here from the webinar. Secondly, I think all industry, manufacturing, developers, they are looking to Shigaya project. They are looking to changing the rules and some of rules in Kuwait. They are looking to have very well opportunities to be part in this succeed. Again and again, I say it. Inshallah, we will hope that everybody will get very competitions, let's say tenders. Abdaliya, it will be EPC project. We already done from the TOR. It will be inshallah release next year or year, 1 year, first quarter, second quarter of this next year. Shigaya project, we say that Abdaliya project, that means it's produced around 150 mega up to 180 mega. So I guess all these factors and elements that I headed from the private sectors helps actually MAWs to, it's actually in the end of the day, it's win-win situations. I have the opportunity, you have the technologies. You give me very good price, very good acceptable price, and we should take it. We need the energy. Electrical vehicles, it's there. The demand of the demand of electricity in Kuwait is increased each year around 4 to 5%. So after 10 years, we will get almost more than double. I guess approximately half from what we have today. So we're talking about around 10,000 megawatts after 10 years. So we should like care about it. We should find a clean energy that should be in the grid. We need to reduce the emissions. You know, all the opportunities, inshallah, will be succeed, inshallah, in future. Thanks.
Wonderful. I love your statement that says we have the opportunity, you have the technology, let's come together and create something great.
Yeah, exactly.
Abhay,
I know there are a lot of questions. So
yes,
Hende, yeah, if you want to
yes.
start with the Q&A.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's up to you. First, before we move ahead with the questions, we have 9 minutes. There are quite a few questions that came through. I just wanted to thank again all the speakers and all the attendees, really good attendance today. Middle East Solar Industry Association is really pleased to collaborate with Solar Arabic on this again. Thanks again to Sungrow. So if you want, you open, I mean, there are a lot of questions regarding the Shagaya project. You can, Abhay, can you see some of the open questions?
Yeah, so a lot. Yeah, go on, Hende.
No, that's okay. Go ahead. You can take this one. It's okay.
So there's a lot of interest on the Shagaya project in terms of the phases and technologies. I think Ghanem has spent a lot of time explaining the different phases and the timelines. Yeah. So let's wait to see what's there in terms of the RFQ, the requirements of eligibility. But there's some very different questions. So there is a question on the grid and renewable tariffs. So if I can go back to Ghanem, and Ghanem, if you could shed light on the feed-in tariff, or how will the retail end consumer tariff get impacted by renewables?
Honestly, you know, government in Kuwait, they get very good subsidies for Kuwaitis or any sectors needs the grid. So we're talking about, I don't know that question exactly. The feed-in tariff, it wouldn't be feed-in tariff, and somehow, but it's there if it's acceptable. Depends in the contract. While we have the larger scale, it will be like while we did we reached the BPA, which is the power purchase agreement. We will see what's the suitable, depends on our advisor. But if you said feed-in tariff for Kuwaitis houses, the small scale, yes, it will be feed-in tariff somehow.
All right, yeah. Helpful. On the contracting structure, someone's asked a question that for the next MEW-RE project, will the client be KISSAR or will it be CAPT? So you may want to just clarify who's the off-taker under the Shagaya project.
MEW.
MEW, right? So it would not be KISSAR or CAPT.
The buyer, actually, what's KISSAR play very the place that we sharing information. They did their homework for researching, doing some research, doing some R&D part and for the government. But MEW will be the buyer for Shagaya.
Wonderful. Yeah. There's a different question on the market opportunity for solar tracker and utility scale. Thomas, if I could lean on you to give us a view about the market opportunity for specific products like the solar tracker. Thomas, you're on mute. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, can you repeat it, Mr.
Yeah, so there's a general question about the market opportunity in Kuwait for specific elements of the system like the solar tracker.
In the monitoring systems, this is the one.
Yeah, for the monitoring system, for the cleaning, robotic cleaning, elements like that.
Still, there is not any new opportunities, but it will come. As Mr. Ghanem is saying, there is a big scale project is coming. Sure, there is a requirement for the cleaning and battery monitoring. Sorry, the monitoring system and panel cleaning system is a higher scale opportunities is there. I hope.
Wonderful. And there's a question for you, a question that says, what chemistry is used for liquid cooling? Is it glycol based or different chemistry?
There is
well,
no idea for that one. Maybe.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We'll lean on Anne to respond to that question.
Yes, sure.
Well, actually, for this question that we need a long time to explain. So anyone interested, we will planning another webinar just regarding our technical part to answer more like these questions, because if we say the technology about liquid cooling, that is absolutely our new technology. So yeah, we will planning another webinar and to explain more.
Wonderful. And you've already laid the advertisement and the framework for the next webinar. So it's already getting you a lot of interest from questions. We
Definitely.
look forward.
Definitely.
Yeah, perfect. We look forward to the next webinar for more details. There are questions, a lot of questions on the Shagaya project. I think it's enticed a lot of interest in the audience here. As Ghanem mentioned, the RFQ is just around the corner. I don't know, Ghanem, if you want to discuss or just touch upon the qualification requirement, in-country value, or do you want to wait for the document in the market?
Okay, let me explain something regarding the RFQ and the RFP for Shigaya. You know, it's different phases, different technologies. I mean, phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 2, it will be CSP. Concentrated solar power, it will be some of the requirement will be changed for as RFQ. You know, it's different developer, different interests, and different required for the developer. So for phase 1, again, we already done from the RFQ. It will be released whether after 2 months or first quarter in the next year. This is regarding the phase 1, which is 1,100 megawatt AC, fully PV. Phase 2, it's a different technologies. We need to do some homework in the RFQ. And they already started doing the RFP for the phase 1 as well. The last 2 phases, it's, let's say, it's similar power output, similar financial models, similar technologies. It will be released in the mid of next year. All these phases will be on the grid as we expected, 2027, 2028. All phases will be in the grid. So we're talking about not that much time between one RFQ and the other. Okay.
Wonderful.
So if somebody asks me about what is the technologies, like specific technologies, we actually did our homework regarding the feasibility study and technicalities. Then we let it for the developer. Some of the developers are interesting to do the tracking system or not. Some of them not. Their study, their homework, honestly, what they want to, they will control it, because you know they need to do some IRR and that's stuff of studies. If it's fine to adopt this kind of system or not, they will like study the market more. They will and will take it. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Will be EPC projects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I think that's a good response. Let's wait for the documents, and the developers will have an opportunity, flexibility to optimize their solution. So there will be flexibility there. Hinder, we are.
I'm just sorry about it. And we open our door for anybody, like MEW, RE, open our door for the developer. Any companies want to ask any further questions, we open our door for them. At the end of the day, we are in one pot, you know. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Hinder, we are on the hour, so I'm going to leave it to you. The conversation is interesting, and I would love to take this forward, but just conscious of time.
Yes, we're running out of time. There are still some unanswered questions that we can share with the speakers, and they can always get back to you after this webinar. We will also be sharing the recording for anyone who's missed part of it, probably within the next couple of days. And I just want to take this opportunity to again thank everyone here today, all of the speakers for their wonderful input. This was a really good panel, and we appreciate everyone's time. Thank you to all the attendees. Thank you to you, Alai, for this great moderation work. And we look forward to delivering another great webinar very soon enough. Please stay tuned. We will be releasing our next panel will be addressing artificial intelligence and digitization in solar, which will take place on November 8th. So just around the corner. Thank you so much, and you have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.